Hey guys, Troy here at Seller.Tools. Hope you're doing great. Thanks so much those that are joining me live. On today's live, we are talking about R2A. If you're catching this after the fact, you're going to be missing out. But we're going to be talking about your feedback, your questions answered with the release of R2A and what is this tool that everybody's now talking about. We're excited about some of the buzz, some of the feedback that you've been sending us. And what R2A entails is a real reverse ASIN. I'm going to dive into how you can utilize this tool, how powerful it is, what advantages we're exploiting to give our users that competitive advantage. So I'm going to give a little bit of second. This is a live. I want to make sure I see you guys, keeping an eye on the comments that are joining me. So say hello. Let me know where you're coming from as you're joining me on today's live. And I'm going to gear, again, all the questions, all the feedback. I'm going to gear today's content on that. So it's really going to be catered to you to make sure that you use this tool as effectively as you can. And it's all about, again, exploiting a competitive advantage, making sure that we're kind of bucking the herd, intentionally removing ourselves from the results of the herd of the pack, and really gearing for advanced strategies and the outcomes that provides, right? So let me know again as you guys come in, say hello. Let me know that you are with me. And we will dive into everything. Again, I appreciate those that have already submitted some questions. We've got some great stuff to cover to make sure there is a strong understanding of how best to utilize this tool. What's going on, Matthew? Looks like comments are working great, so I can see that you're in there. Again, I encourage you guys to let me know where you're coming from, and do not be shy. Like I said, I've made some time to where some of the examples, I really want it to be what you like to see, because I think it's really important not to have canned material, but to show kind of the strategy, what I think through some of the tools, and we can kind of go back and forth as you see some of the data as to where, well, now that you have this new data to play with, this new process, this new workflow, how to genuinely utilize it. Sound good, guys and gals? All right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. I do not want to leave anybody in suspense. If you haven't seen our live, this tool is now accessible to anybody, so I do not want anybody to fall behind on taking full advantage of it. This is available across all Solo Tools plans, and again, has already been live, so many have already got their hands on it. But this is really to make sure, again, that we ensure that the greatest potential of this tool is utilized. Matthew, number 2, is here. Awesome, guys. Yeah, Matthew Party. Great to have you guys here. And again, don't be shy. But while you guys are coming in, sharing your comments, feedback, and let me know again where you're joining me from, I'm going to share R2A. That's what we've got pulled up here for you guys to see if you're seeing it again for the very first time. Real reverse ASIN, hence the name R2A. This isn't a nonsensical name. We ironically got some feedback that people didn't know what it meant, but it's actually very much on the nose. It's very specific to what it offers. It looks at, based on an ASIN as an input, the keywords that an ASIN ranks for. That's your starting place. Very intuitive, right? It sort of says, okay, this ASIN, there's probably a good reason I'm looking at it. Where is it winning? Where is it ranking at the keyword level? But I'm going to walk you through some examples. We're going to walk through the dashboard to make sure that there's absolute clarity as to how you can utilize this tool. Now, the first thing that you're probably going to notice is this option here to select products. Now, a few questions that we got is, can I add any ASIN? Understanding this is a reverse ASIN tool, ASINs are the input. Can I add any ASIN right here? You absolutely can. Hop over to Amazon, find an ASIN, bring it in and drop it into this open field here. But this select products flow, it really is a slick workflow to give you really some ASINs that you should be focusing on. And I'm going to walk you through why that's the case. So if we click select products, our input is going to be a keyword. Now, what I encourage people to start out with is keywords that are very obvious for your product. So garlic press is a garlic press. The example I'm going to use is a hyaluronic acid serum. I like it for a number of reasons, but we'll use it. It's a very descriptive, sort of the main or master keyword. If you're telling somebody what product you sell, it's usually the word that you use. That's often your main or master keyword. So go ahead and click search, and we'll take a look at the top results for that keyword. Again, you can use any keyword. You can use your master or main keyword for initiating this search, but it's going to give me the top results for this keyword that I can segment. Now, quick preface here, we ran into this with the other live. I am streaming across another tool. I'm running R2A, so please do bear with me if it takes a little bit of time to load some of the results. My computer is working hard to make sure that it's it's doing so promptly, and hopefully that'll be the case for the live. I want to make sure we're taking a look at the data here fairly quickly. But essentially that's the input, is instead of starting with an ASIN, we're saying, okay, taking this keyword, who's winning for it, and then let's start using those winning products or winning ASINs for some of our next steps. I'm just going to give that another moment or two to let it do its thing. Pretty sure I spelled that right. Again, misspellings are another thing that's going to pop up when we do some of this keyword research, so you can see some opportunities from that as well. I'm getting a little impatient here. I'm going to go ahead and just start a new search. Hyaluronic acid serum. Let's give it another go. Give it a fresh search. And if not, like I said, that was one of the questions that we got. Can I input any ASIN if I'm on Amazon and I'm seeing potential competitors? I'm reviewing the landscape. I'm doing product research. It makes sense to do keyword research in that early stages, and I want to pull in some of those ASINs. Just as easily can do that and bring those over into R2A. This just makes it really nice because, again, it sort of provides you a really great launching off point. It says, okay, these are the top ASINs. You're going to see here too where it will present the BSR for some of those ASINs to be able to see some of those results. It's just going to be my luck that select products is going to take a little longer as we're live. I literally was doing this about 10 minutes before the live, so it's going to be my luck. It's going to take a little longer than planned. But if not, I can highlight. Oh, there it goes. But again, what's really nice is that also took less time than probably me doing this manually. So all things considered, now that we're looking at the results of that hyaluronic acid serum search, this is going to give me the keyword rank based on my input, which was hyaluronic acid serum, the keyword, the ASINs in rank order. Now I have BSR visibility here. And of course, as is the case with BSR, lower the number, it's typically performing better. But really what I'm focused on is this rank. These are highly visible ASINs for the input that I provided. And what I can do, let me go back. What I can do is then take those ASINs and of course utilize those for my inputs when I run my R2A search. For the same strategy, I'm saying, okay, main keyword, top highly visible competitors, and then we're going to take that data and make some of the informed decisions, take those insights for some of the next steps. Let's see here. I think it timed out just before I clicked OK. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and, now that you guys have seen that, I may come back to that. But what I'm going to do is actually go over to search history. So I'll finish kind of explaining some of these other elements here where Cascade, I can use any or view any variations, the results of variations as I add those ASINs in. So if I want to see what keywords those variations are ranking for, I'd want to select Cascade. Keeping in mind R2A, all the other marketplaces that you can utilize this tool for. So if you're in one of the major EU marketplaces, Canada, you can also utilize this tool. We've got search history. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to use this because, as I mentioned not too long before this live, I use that select products flow to come up with those top ASINs. So what I'll actually do, you can see the main product images here. This is actually the search I'm referring to. And you can see the ASINs. We can see when I searched it last, but I'm going to go ahead and open that. And you can do this anytime that you run a search. And now I have those target ASINs populated, those 6 ASINs, which I would have done through the select products flow, again, where we started here. Now I can see the main images of what I've searched, and I see a breakdown here. Now let's take a closer look at this target ASIN breakdown. We can see the total number of keywords, the organic keywords, those that are ranking organically through the target ASIN, from us running a reverse ASIN across these 6 ASINs, the number of sponsored keywords that were detected for those target ASINs, the number of keywords that show up in Amazon suggested data or AMZ report card. Those two things are the same. And then brand analytics. We utilize brand analytics in R2A. It's immensely important in your keyword research that you essentially use the best data. It goes without saying. Amazon has extended and provided to us, here is really the best data. So it's important that it's in your process for keyword research and ideally done efficiently. We see a lot of folks adding in spreadsheets or extra steps, and then their keyword research takes twice as long. Sort of defeats the purpose of expediting your keyword research steps. And I know Some of the questions we got is, we've alluded to kind of 5-minute keyword research. What does that look like? I'm going to share that with you as well. So we have this breakdown of the results of these 6 target ASINs. And as we scroll down a little bit more, we actually get the keywords, the results of this search. Now let's break down this top example, this very first keyword, because it gives us some insights. So the ordinary, it's kind of a weird keyword for the first one, but let's unpack it a little bit more. Let's see what the data says. So we have the keyword, we have the search volume, the monthly search volume. This comes from Seller.tools. The number of competitors as a quantity, as a metric. So this doesn't necessarily give us the quality, but it gives us the quantity, the sheer volume of the number of competitors. The brand analytics, the SFR, now SFR standing for search frequency rank. Similar to BSR, you're looking for a lower number that has a greater search frequency rank, a kind of higher level of importance when it comes to prioritizing your keywords. Now these next 2 columns are rank specific columns. We have the average keyword rank, where we look at all of those target ASINs and define what the average is. So in this case it's 31, relatively high. And then we look at the best keyword rank. Now as that name implies, we look at all of those target ASINs and say, okay, what is the best ranked achieved by any one of those target ASINs? So these numbers are similar. What does that tell us from a strategic perspective? That tells me there's no clear winner. There may be a pack with that no clear winner. And so that informs what I may want to do with this keyword. But we'll look at some of the other data that really tells me if I should do anything at all. We'll look at these next 3 columns. So the next columns are sponsor density, the number of target ASINs that show up for that given keyword. Again, we saw this as an aggregate numbered up here, but the density says, okay, you have 6 target ASINs. Out of those 6, 0, goose egg, show up with running a sponsored ad for this keyword. The AMZ report card density, similarly, the density, we're looking at the 6 ASINs, we're saying how many of these show up for AMZ report card or Amazon suggested data? 0, so another goose egg. And then rank density. This kind of illuminates why this keyword, even though it shows up in my results, even though this is registering through a reverse ASIN search, there is only one ASIN that ranks for this keyword. If we hover over that number, we can actually see it ends in SRS. That is the same as this last target ASIN here. So this is the only one ranking for this keyword. Now, other metrics may, perceivably make it look important. It's got solid search volume. It's in brand analytics. It's showing up in my R2A data. But effectively, this rank density leaves it fairly underwhelming, which to me can really help imply relevancy. If I'm saying my top highly visible competitors, only 1 out of 6 is ranking, it's a strong chance that there's maybe not a lot of relevancy for that keyword. But this is a way that you can start analyzing some of the results through the columns and the data that we have available. Now, before we get into this really powerful feature here, I want to highlight some of the additional filters that you can access. So you have the search frequency rank that's tied to the brand analytics data. So let's say we wanted to set a minimum or even a maximum. Let's say we're looking at hyper competitive keywords. We can filter that down through that search frequency filter. Similarly, we can do that with search volume. And these 2 filters really should inform priority, right? Which is fairly intuitive, right? So if brand analytics is saying this has a very low search frequency rank, it's a highly sought after keyword, there's only approximately 1 million to 1.5 million that keywords that show up in brand analytics. That number can waver, but that's kind of a safe range. So if it shows up in brand analytics at all, that's a big indication. But then if it has a low search frequency rank, that's a very good indication that may be a highly sought after keyword. But then you also need to look at some of these additional metrics. Is there no clear winner, but it's in brand analytics, but it lacks relevancy? These are the types of questions you can ask yourself as you really start to segment this data. Now, don't be intimidated by this. Just because it gives you the control, it shouldn't give you pause for concern and think, oh man, I've got to understand every element of this. The control is something that you can really grow into and start utilizing over time. The important piece is understanding the simplistic elements of the workflow, which again, that 5-minute keyword research, I'm going to highlight for you guys as well. That's really, for me, the launching off point that has been lacking, that's been missing, that R2A really helps to address. So the next filters, we have rank density. That again looks at this column right here. And let's go ahead and say for this, because we have our top 6 highly visible competitors, where would I maybe start? Rank density for me as a filter is really high up on my list. That's a great way of implied relevancy. Highly visible competitors for my main keyword, you should safely assume that if not a majority, a healthy amount are ranking for a given keyword. So if I even said 2, let's get rid of these kind of bottom feeder keywords, 1 out of 6 my orders, things that we're just backing into just because these keywords have randomly kind of ranked for some of these keywords. Let's get rid of those bottom feeders and start dialing up the relevancy a little bit more. So we take that rank density and it breaks it down to where at minimum, it has to be a 2 out of 6. And you can already start seeing we're starting to back into more relevant keywords that are skincare specific, that include my main keyword, variations of my main keyword, and we start to really filter that information down. So this is going to be one of your favorite columns. It's mine, for filtering down the data, because this is your implied relevancy. This is saying top visible competitors. I need to see a little bit more there. I don't want 1 out of 6. I want a little bit more as a ratio, let's say, for the products that you are searching. Average keyword rank. This is a really fun indication, again, of our comparison of saying, is there a clear leader? Is there a best of many? It gives you an idea of how the aggregate, the total of these target ASINs are performing at the keyword level. So you could very easily come in here and say, well, maybe the average keyword rank needs to be, roughly 20, let's say. Did I already clear that other filter? Yeah, I did. So I'll go ahead and apply that. And so I can start to see, okay, the average keyword rank starts to creep up. But maybe I want to use the best keyword rank, which again looks at my target ASINs and says, okay, what is the best rank we see? And we can identify what ASIN that is and say it's maybe 5. Let's start to kind of narrow that a little bit. This lets me know if there's a clear winner and if I can isolate that clear winner and take them down. So I hope that concept kind of makes sense. Those are what those 2 columns can really help you compare. Is there a leader in the pack and then everybody else is kind of in the background? Because that is something you can both exploit. You can more closely monitor that ASIN. You can look at their ad performance. You can monitor them in your competitor builder. But that gives you a better idea of where you need to narrow your focus and the scope of your focus. And you can use R2A again, where you run a single ASIN search, and one of the other features I'm going to highlight for you, to see how you're doing, ultimately understanding what your performance is for that given ASIN. So those are 2 really powerful columns that you can utilize. So I'm going to go ahead and clear those filters so we can get a fresh set of data here. Again, total number of keywords we're looking at, 3,642. That matches up with what we see for the organic keywords. And the 2 filters that are not available yet is this one right here, my ASIN keyword rank. I'm going to share that with you in a second, and my ASIN score. Finally, what we'll take a look at is the match type. Now, this is immensely helpful. When you see this drop down, this gives you an idea. It's kind of backing into density. Density has been kind of a key word, where we look at the sources of that data and we say, okay, this keyword is in brand analytics, is showing up in Amazon suggested data, and a sponsored ad has been detected for a given target ASIN, for any one of those target ASINs. So let's take a look just to see what the results would be if we selected each one of these. It had to meet our criteria of brand analytics, Amazon suggested data, and then sponsor data, and apply those match types. Now you see this is illuminated here because it's the same thing. We're actually looking at sponsored, Amazon suggested, and brand analytics. So hence the highlighting. And now we get this list of 117 filtered keywords that match all 3 of our match types. And now what we could do is take some of that best data here for brand analytics and filter it down. You'll notice actually by default, it filters by search frequency rank, with the lowest, which again, similar to BSR, lowest is a higher priority, at the top. And this starts giving us some really great data. Now, hyaluronic acid, very much on the nose. We just lose the serum aspect. But if we scroll down a little bit more, maybe we see even a few more variations. And I picked this product in particular. It came up in our live release, where we have a lot of questions about misspellings, using different tools, separate processes to capture misspellings. R2A has you covered. You don't need extra steps for that process, because as long as A9, Amazon essentially registers that keyword, there's adequate search volume, it becomes a keyword unto itself. So there isn't a need for seeking out or looking for misspellings, because as you can see here, very high up, even in the top 25K of brand analytics, we have a misspelling. This keyword, this product, I know it from selling it. It has been called hydraulic acid serum, hydrolonic. It has gone by every name. I've even searched it and misspelled it when I was typing it in. It just happens. But you want those keywords, right? Those are great ways to back into whether it's your optimization, whether you, use that for your organic and listing optimization or for your PPC efforts. Those are really great ways to potentially back into sales in a really fruitful way. And I like this example here too, because if we take a look at this keyword, this is an obvious misspelling. I don't even want to try to pronounce that one. This take on hyaluronic acid serum. We have a pretty healthy search volume. We have a relatively low number of competitors. That starts to pique my interest. And again, that sub 25K brand analytics. So that's telling me of the top approximately 1 million keywords on Amazon, this is very, very sought after. Then we can see average and best keyword rank. So this, again, no clear winner. I'm not seeing anybody stand out in the crowd. The average and the best are approximately the same. I see sponsored density 1 out of 6. So there's somebody in play here. That's totally fine. AMZ report card. So actually the Amazon suggested data has a greater density, 5 out of 6 as a ratio. But only one ASIN is currently ranking for this keyword. That darn last ASIN ending with SRS. This last ASIN here that we searched is ranking for it, but it meets all 3 of our match types. Pretty cool stuff. And I think this is going to segue really nice into the new feature that you guys are going to be able to tap into with my ASIN. But before I get to that, let me make sure if everybody is feeling good about what we're taking a look at right now. Is this all making sense as to how we think about some of the data, some of the filters as we use R2A? Definitely let me know in the comments as we're working through everything. I just want to make sure that I'm covering everything to where there is clarity as to how this can work and how we think about some of the data. I mean, again, looking at brand analytics, knowing it's just the best data, it's how do we think about prioritizing relative to some of our other data points to make some informed decisions. So I'll be on the lookout for that, but I'm excited to share this with you because this addresses the pain point we've seen really until R2A was released. Doing keyword research was done in isolation. It was done kind of on its own, irrespective of your ASIN, irrespective of your performance at the keyword level. And that is it's almost missing 50% of the equation, right? Because you're just doing it irrespective. At the end of the day, you need to have a product you're selling on Amazon. And if keywords are important, keywords related to your product and their performance are equally as important. So with my ASIN, what we can do is we can select a product, which will be our product, to compare to these results. So let me go ahead and select product to compare. Now what this will do, just real quick, we had a question on this too. Where you're going to find this is under your product manager. So when you select a product to compare, you need to add it to your, or already have it in your Seller Tools product manager, which again, you can find right here. You can always just quickly search if you wanted to take a look and make sure. Let me see, double check my ASIN is there. Yep, it is right here. This is the one we're actually going to be taking a look at. So that's good to go. So I'll select a product to compare. Search that ASIN I had in mind. Just do so by the keyword. And then select it. And it's going to do that heavy lifting. Did it immensely fast there. That's awesome. So what this does is it takes my ASIN and does a similar search. Does that reverse ASIN, gives me some data that we can have some fun and really break this down. So first thing you probably noticed with my ASIN, you can again hover over it if you want to take a look at the product image and the title. These two columns are very similar and they're intentionally set up that way. This allows you to compare. Now again, we did 6 ASINs. You can do 1 ASIN, you can do 12 ASINs. You can really customize that as you would like, and we'll go through a one-to-one example, kind of a heads-up example here as well. We can look at the total keywords, the keywords that we are, total number of keywords we're organically ranking for, the number of sponsored keywords, so those that are being detected for sponsored data, AMZ report cards, so how many were showing up for Amazon suggested. AMZ report card and Amazon suggested are the same. And then brand analytics keywords. So we have a healthy amount of keywords that we are ranking for that are in brand analytics. That's a great sign. But let's dive a little bit deeper. This additional column is where these insights get to be very actionable. We've got the total number of keyword opportunities, which matches here. You can see the organic keywords that are ranking for our target ASINs. That number is the same. Then we can take a look at how we're performing and are we effectively tracking? Are these keywords even on our radar? Again, this is where it becomes actionable. So let's break this down here through this column. So within top 50 and tracking, so this is telling me keywords that I'm ranked within the top 50. I'm winning in my eyes, but and I'm tracking. So that's great. That's good. That's really what you want to be doing, right? You want to have it on your radar and you want to be winning. Within top 50 and not tracking, so I'm winning, but they're not on my radar. I have no idea. They could fall off. I have really no idea because it's not on my radar. So I need to take some steps there. I need to take some action. I can click and filter that, and we'll take a look at that here in a second. Outside top 50 and tracking, so I'm losing if I'm not even in page one visibility and I'm tracking. At least they're on my radar, but I need to take some steps to positively impact the ranking. I need to get that in the top 50. And then lastly, outside top 50 and not tracking, very healthy number here of 3,254. I have some work to do. I need to start ranking and I need to start tracking these keywords. And then finally, we have missing advertising. As the name implies, how many keywords that we are not running sponsored ads for. This is kind of a missed opportunity where my PPC, I should click to filter this down and compare it to my PPC, look at my campaigns, where I have, based on how I have those configured, to look at opportunities to incorporate some of these keywords. And then lastly, not successful. Now, not successful, we coined this as keywords where we are not ranking better than the best. Or we're not the best to say. So that means our ranking, let's say, is in the 10th position for a keyword and the best of the target ASINs is second. We're not successful. We're losing on that keyword. We want to be the absolute best. And we can filter that just as easily. By clicking on any one of these, we can filter that data. So I'm going to come back to this BAS because we still have this filter applied. But I'll just quickly share with you as you click through how this filters down the data. Where we, again, within top 50 and not tracking. So winning, not on our radar, viewing those results, and then taking some of the next steps. But I really like the example we were taking a look at before. So I'm going to clear the filters. Anytime you want to do that, you just clear the filter. Gives you a fresh look of the initial output of that 3,642 in this example. We'll take a look at those three match types, add that filter back, and take my interesting, let's say, misspelling example. Let's kind of unpack it a little bit more because it's in brand analytics. It's got healthy search volume. We've got no clear winner. I mean, to me, this is a great keyword. And now I know I'm getting really granular, but let me know, guys, is it making sense how I'm evaluating this keyword? I think this is often missing too with the scope of keyword research, of looking at both relevancy, looking at best data, looking at density, and where you can exploit a keyword too, right? We get that question a lot when you rank for a keyword using some of our mini chat strategies, is that these are really great when there is obvious relevancy, you have traction in terms of the volume, but there's nobody winning. There's no clear winner. That's where your ASIN can fit in there and really take advantage of that. So if we take a look at it here again, this keyword, which we were taking a look at before, meets all three of our match types. This next column, as we've added in our ASIN up here, is going to be added to your R2A, my ASIN score. So this gives you an idea, again, of how you're performing at the keyword level. And we came up with this acronym, this STARS acronym. Let's take a look at exactly what this means. So S is, again, if a sponsored ad was found for your ASIN, are you running a sponsored ad? T, are you tracking it? This is that on the radar. Again, as we broke down here, tracking, that's what T, again, these are very obvious once you really get a good grasp on it. T is whether you're tracking that keyword or not within your Solo Tools Keyword Manager, so you want it on your radar. A is for AMZ report card, Amazon suggested data. Are you ranked for a given keyword? And then finally, best keyword rank. Are you successful? We touched on not successful. S in this case is if you are successful. So as you can bet, you want your keywords to be stars. You want all of those illuminated, because that means you are checking off every box. You're running a sponsored ad, you're tracking it, you are showing up in suggested data, you're ranking for that keyword, and you're successful. That is a really great indication of success at the keyword level for your ASIN. That's really powerful stuff, guys, because again, before when we would do keyword research, we would just look at everybody else and sort of figure out what they're ranking for and do it irrespective of brand analytics and have no idea how our product's performing at the keyword level. This really illuminates and helps with this granular review, which you should do before you launch. It shouldn't be so non-specific and haphazard. It really should give you an idea of, here's what's happening now, here's what I'm doing, but here's what I'm going to do next in a very educated way. And that's what's really, really important. So let's take this example here, because let me make sure my head is out of the way here. Hyaluronic acid serum, pretty underwhelming right now. All gray means I'm doing absolutely none of those things. So what's the low-hanging fruit? What can I do right now if this keyword for me right now isn't stars? I don't have any of the individual breakdowns. I want to, at minimum, put this guy on my radar. I want to know, how am I performing for this keyword? What we can do is click this button here, add it to our keyword manager. It will add a tag letting us know this came from R2A on the date that it was run. It's date stamped, really convenient. So as you go back in and you do your weekly, monthly reviews of R2A, they're tagged, so you can then see and identify, okay, I took these steps for this keyword on this date. And by saving it to your ASIN, you'll get a nice little confirmation there. And then in real time, this column will be updated, because it will then again let us know how we are ranking or tracking that keyword and how we are effectively ranking. And you're starting to see some of the other columns, ranking data points here as well. So now that we see, went from a dash to 27. So we are not successful for this keyword, but we're at least tracking it. We are ranked. It's just not so great, but we aren't successful because our keyword rank isn't better than the best keyword rank. We want to be the best, right? At the keyword level, that is the sign of success. So we're starting. We're moving the ball forward. We're starting to have a greater indication of, is it at least on my radar? Am I ranked for it at all? I have to even know that. And then I want to start maybe running a sponsored ad. This is a great way of knowing, hey, can I positively impact my rank through running that sponsored ad? Can I positively impact Amazon suggested data? Now, this admittedly can be a little bit tougher to control. It's not easy to change how Amazon would suggest a keyword for an ASIN, but you can kind of throw everything else at it, give it everything it needs to perceivably view your ASIN relevant to a keyword. And then, like I said, finally, success. This is where we want to look at other ranking initiatives. You guys know this in terms of what we do with ManyChat, with running ranking campaigns. Those are the types of things that can get these keywords successful for us on an individual basis. Cool, guys. Is that starting to make sense? Are we starting to really get a clear picture with how we evaluate some of these individual keywords? I plucked out a misspelling example because, again, your space might have that. You may be adding that as a separate step, but that lets us know how we backed into it from match types to our performance at the keyword level. Cool? Awesome. All right. I am going to do I promised I would do it as a 5-minute keyword research step. I'm going to clear up these ASINs, and we're going to run back through select products. I'm going to make sure it works this time seamlessly. I'm going to be patient too, knowing it's going to run for a large number of ASINs. But let's do a fresh 5-minute keyword research for hyaluronic acid serum. I dove right in. We looked at a specific keyword example, but this is what you can utilize for your team, is if you're doing keyword research and you're saying, okay, I've got 5 minutes, what's going to give me an idea of who's winning for a specific set of keywords? I can focus then on density, and then from there, prioritize by brand analytics. You guys probably or may have heard that when we released R2A, and that's really the simplistic process. That is an immensely powerful launching off point as you're completing keyword research. I think it might just be this specific keyword that doesn't want to play nicely. So what I'm going to do is I've had another example ready for us, and I think it actually answers some of the questions I've seen for comparing child ASIN and paired ASIN. So from Pete, let me answer that question with the other example I was going to take a look at. So similarly, I'm going to add in my main or master keyword to kick off select products, run that search, and I am going to take a look at top ASINs visible for that keyword. We have BSR visibility here as well. And what you'll notice in these results is variations are here. We have 4-whey protein, we've got different flavors. We have variations that we can look at and make a determination as to whether or not they should make up our target ASINs. So we have the rank here, again, top results for that keyword, BSR visibility. Can always click through and view these on Amazon as needed. But for example purposes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually pick some of these variations so I can see it's a chocolate, vanilla version of the Optimum Nutrition. I'm going to pick this one, extreme milk chocolate, I'm assuming. This is actually going to be my ASIN, so I'm going to skip over my ASIN. It's probably a good example to walk through there. Oh, did that just hop over? I think it did. I'm going to bring that back up. This is just my luck. Let's run that whey protein search again, because I have some examples that come in mind with that. But you're starting to see how we use the variations in that flow and can determine, like, if our product, if we want to look at similar flavoring and we want to segment it in that way, you know, obviously we can do more of a heads up with our target ASIN and our ASIN to review that performance. Or you could cast a wider net and just say any whey protein in my category for that keyword that's highly visible, I want to bring that into the mix and I want to look at the results for it. Let's see if it gets going here. It's going to be just my luck. It's totally souring my 5-minute keyword research. But I guess if it takes just a few seconds longer to run, not so bad. I think I'm gonna jinx it. All right, I'm gonna maybe do this manually here. We'll go a little old school. Let me do one quick refresh. Give that a clean slate, and then let's come over here to Amazon. I'm going to use my whey protein example, use my results. I'm here in incognito, and you can actually see the same results that we were looking at before. So let me maybe take these top 4 ASINs, and I can highlight how we do this manually. Don't always have to do this, but this is definitely going the old school route. There's that. Have that ASIN. And then last one here, top 4 highly visible. Again, because I searched whey protein, I took the first 4 organic results. I'm gonna nix these tabs here. And we'll take a look at the search. Now, one thing to keep in mind is utilizing Cascade. Now, I've got 4 ASINs. You can already use any variations associated with a ASIN. If that answers to the question for you looking at child and paired ASINs. So that's an option. I personally, as we've rolled out R2A and the testing we've done, I like adding in the individual ASINs and kind of looking at it from there. But totally your choice based on your space. There may be a space, you might be in clothing where you've got 80 variations and you want all of that, kind of captured versus this where we've got maybe a few, 3 or 4 very clear flavorings that make up those variations that can change how we conduct our keyword research. So I'll run that search for those 4 target ASINs, and we'll see what the results look like. And we can even dive into the additional filters from here. Come on, Mac. It's working hard. I know I'm also impatient. I'm sure you guys probably are the same. I'm like 5 seconds or else. But it does a lot of work at the same time. I remind myself, as we've done so much testing on this tool, it goes out, scours Amazon, crawls all the ASINs, looks at keywords that it ranks for, captures all that data, presents it all nicely, gives us all these data points, folds in brand analytics. So it does a lot of heavy lifting. So when you go from 15 seconds to 40 seconds, I have to keep that perspective too. So I know how it goes. So now that we have our 4 ASINs, we can start taking a look at some of the additional data. Now let's do that with utilizing some of the additional filters. Competitors, sponsor density, that we can take a look at here as well. Again, as a metric, whether it is how many ASINs running a sponsored ad, those that are showing up at Amazon suggested data. Word count is really exceptional, where again, if you're looking at longer tail keywords that rank, let's say again we want to see for rank density, it has to be a minimum of 2, not a majority at 3, but let's say at least 2 of those target ASINs are ranking. And then I want to see a minimum of 3 words. This is really going to give me a nice, now it's a solid list of different branded keywords that can inform my PPC strategy. Whey protein powder, very much on the nose, but this starts giving me some of the indications here of again, both rank density, so assuming relevance, and then looking at longer tail keywords that I can take advantage of. Now, remember, I did kick this off with the idea of 5-minute keyword research, so I've got to deliver on that. So we've got 4 ASINs. We've run the search. Rank density. Now, I've only done really 2 before. I'm going to use that same 2. I'm totally fine with that. That gives me a square even. 50% of those ASINs rank for a keyword. If I hit apply, again, that's the minimum. And then I come down here and I start looking at brand analytics. This is your launching off point. And I want to make sure we speak to why this is the case. So we take keyword, highly visible ASINs. We take those ASINs, say, a solid amount, if not a majority of those ASINs rank for this keyword. Again, rank density gives us that indication. Then we prioritize those keywords with brand analytics. We look at the best data and say, okay, if the best data Amazon gives us, we're going to then make decisions, prioritize those keywords based on brand analytics. And that's where you get into the 5-10 minute keyword research. That's where you start launching off and then getting granular, as we did with the prior example, and really isolating some of these keywords. So I know I unpacked everything else to kind of give clarity, but I think that's important, where a lot of people are looking at how can I take the advantages of this tool and be hyper efficient. Those are the ways that you can approach it, where you take top competitors, focus on density, and then prioritize on brand analytics. So you come in here, and some of these may look like keywords that you would assume or would view as they make sense, but that really should be your initial seed keyword list. You want relevancy, you want brand analytics. You want to prioritize that as you're building out your listing, as you're building out your title, your back-end search terms, to really ensure that you're delivering on relevance. So that is a quick shorthand, a great way to start. And then, of course, if you do those steps, there's nothing wrong with coming in here, bringing your ASIN, taking a look at what you can be doing next. Again, this was our ASIN in that example. It's going to run that search. And now we can know what we need to do with our ASIN. It's not just looking at inputs from other ASINs, other competitors. You can start making some informed decisions because we're doing that comparison. We're looking at what steps need to be happening within top 50 and tracking. Again, if I filter that down, that can give me an idea of, again, it's a keyword that I am winning relatively so, and then it is being tracked actively. It's on my radar, and I can monitor. I can set up keyword alerts. I can make sure it shows up in my mini chat flows if there's a little bit more room for me to win. Now we do color code this my ASIN keyword rank to where right now you'll notice it's red. If we're winning a keyword, success as the best keyword rank for target ASIN is better than my keyword. We can illuminate that if we're winning, But if we truly are, if we are ranked second and the best keyword rank is second, which is our keyword, or excuse me, is eighth because it looks at the target ASIN, it will be green. So that will give you a clear visual indication of where you're beating the competition. Go ahead and clear those filters. I'm going to add back in that rank density because I want to also highlight how we can use Amazon's choice. Now this is, again, it helps to really dial in the scope of the keywords that you're looking at. If there's an Amazon's choice badge, we also provide visibility into the ASIN that has won that Amazon's choice badge. So if we click that, apply that filter, we take the same data, at least 2 ASINs are ranking for those keywords. We look at the Amazon choice badge that has been earned for one of the target ASINs. Again, you can hover over it and see which ASIN. So HVJ, the second ASIN here, this whey protein powder, has won the Amazon's choice badge. We can see, again, sub 5,000 for brand analytics. Again, this is protein. This is very very much on the nose, but that doesn't mean you don't perform for that keyword, right? Just because it's hyper relevant to your product and it's immensely competitive, it doesn't get neglected. It just may not show up when you're running a promotional campaign. If you're running ManyChat, you may be growing. You may be looking at some of those keywords that, as you scroll down a little bit more, we have another misspelling here. Search volume is healthy. Sub 60K brand analytics. Best keyword rank number 2. So it looks like this is an indication. You guys have probably guessed. This means to me, if it's the average keyword rank for those top 4 ASINs and the best is only those few away, that means that there's a fight to the top. There is really maybe a struggle to earn the rank for this given keyword, and that's important for me to keep in mind, again, as this misspelling has registered as a separate keyword. It's earned its spot with brand analytics, and it is relevant, of course, to my product as well. Cool, guys. Is that starting to make some sense as we walk through some of the different workflows? I've mentioned the heads up comparison too. I want to do that next because this is, again, where you look at who's kicking your butt. This is usually the market leader. This is somebody who is doing an exceptionally great job. And because we've added in the other 50% of the equation with my ASIN, it really helps to say, where are they really kicking me in the rear? Where is it that I'm truly losing? And that should bother you. That should be something that's kind of keeping you up. And as you're thinking about what you're doing day in and day out, that's a really important area of focus for an FBA business and focusing on keywords, right? So the way that we can do that, I'm going to go ahead and just clean up this list real quick. Let's see. Who was that top ASIN? Actually, let me just grab that ASIN. I'm going to run that one, and I'll run Cascade. So we'll include any variations, which there's a healthy amount. For the question in regards to child and parent ASINs, if you hover over the parent ASIN, you can see the child ASINs here. And because we're using Cascade, it will include all variations in that search. So I'll go ahead and run that search. It's a fresh multi-ASIN search that captures all of those variations that we hovered over. And we can take a look from here how our ASIN, that same ASIN for our grass-fed protein powder, how it was performing, instead of just purely looking at how the competitors are doing. Make sure I'm getting all the other questions. 5-minute keyword research. What do launch-ready keywords look like? That was another great question. And I think our misspelling example was actually really suitable for a launch-ready keyword. Because it had less competitors, it had a healthy amount of search volume, wasn't quite as dense, there was no clear winner. That was a really great way for us to back into. So that would be one I would mark for some of our ManyChat strategies as we're looking at sales velocity and page interactions against that keyword. That was a really great example for that, which is not so obvious. Somebody would have to really be diligent with their keyword research to back into that. What are some next steps when I find launch-ready keywords? So that's kind of, that one's also been answered. What are some ways I can use the ranking columns? I think we've kind of gone over that. That's a good question as to where you look at the average keyword rank, the best keyword rank, those two independent columns, and obviously as we look at my ASIN keyword rank, that gives you an idea of performance, right? That lets you know, how am I doing against the best? How am I doing against the against everybody as an average number? And being able to really filter that down. The example that I shared in terms of looking at a higher average keyword rank and a lower best keyword rank, that just lets you know that there's some separation, right? If the average is pretty high and the best is, top 2-3 positions, that's a clear winner. That is isolating who you should be monitoring for their keyword performance. And do a similar search as this. Do a heads up search where, again, since I'm looking at I think it was like 24 variations, taking a little bit longer here to search, but once you do it, you then can see where are they kind of kicking my butt. That's kind of how Brennan put it for how you view some of the results. But it's taken a little bit longer with that cascade running. I have to hop back to the search history if it's going to take a little bit longer. What are some ways of ranking columns? Yep, that's another question we touched on. Final questions. Cool. All right. I'm going to just do a quick refresh. Bring that guy back. Running through search history. See if we can get that search going again. If it takes a little bit longer, I can always run it without Cascade. But just again, keep in mind, it's running. I think it had about a little over 24 ASIN. So the scope of what it does, even though it looks like one ASIN, it is doing quite a bit of heavy lifting. It's actually a really great example, depending on the tool you use. If it doesn't capture variations, for those that are in variation-rich categories or spaces, you can kind of be missing out. Some really smart sellers have, for a long time now, really utilized variations to use for more keyword real estate. So to not have any visibility into that can be problematic. You really don't know, how they're utilizing it. You want to see how they're performing across those variations, and make sure you have visibility into how you're performing at the same time. It's going to be my luck that it's just not going to run. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a refresh. Let's see if we can do it at a individual ASIN level. I'll leave Cascade deselected. So it looks at less data overall as it runs this search. But I know I can't help it without streaming. Is this helping, guys? Let me know in the comments too. Is this really landing for you as to how we can use R2A to find new keywords, to see performance, to utilize both density and brand analytics as a launching off point? And again, those filters are really, really helpful for saying, okay, do I at least have this on my radar? Am I ranking? Of course, you want to have visibility into that, but am I ranking relative to this competitor for this keyword? Am I isolating some of that performance? And you don't have to get that granular, but I can tell you one of the biggest questions we get is picking keywords to launch for. And this is where R2A is sort of that great pre-mini chat launch of isolating those keywords where you can win, making sure you're not wasting units. We know that 200 inventory limit, another question that we get a lot. So that's why it's really important to know that you're making an informed decision with which keywords and how many to effectively launch for. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use that search history again. Just does not want to play nice with me. You can see I've searched hyaluronic acid serum a few times and whey protein a few times. But let's maybe take another example. Let's see, vitamin C serum. Let's do this for a heads up challenge here. It's going to run that search. Another product I used to sell, equally competitive, equally saturated, really requires some sophistication on the keyword research side to make sure that you're not running through the same process, same tools, expecting to really outpace the competition. It really requires you to level up with your keyword research. And like I said, this is where R2A really, really shines, especially with the heads up search. So I'm really hoping I'm not running too much to give us a chance to take a look at it, but I really want to peel this one apart, because this is where a lot of our team is using these types of searches to say, okay, I've been in this space for 2 years. Why is this guy he's always either nipping at my tail, or he's, has stayed far beyond and ahead of me? Where is he winning? Where is that, where's this seller really at the keyword level? What are they doing differently that I need to be aware of at first, but then take informed and, take actionable insights and take some of those next steps, right? Ultimately, that's what we want to make sure we do for each keyword. I think this is just going to be my luck, guys. I apologize for it taking a little bit longer, but really try to make sure the performance was there on the computer, but it may not let me run this search. I'm going to give this one more quick try. We'll take a prior search that we did. Let's see. This is another vitamin C serum one I did a little bit earlier today. Here we go. Now this, of course, won't be necessarily a heads up, but if we ran that search again, we went select products, vitamin C serum, picked top 7 ASINs. We used my 5-minute keyword research example. I took, let's say, majority. So out of 7, let's say 4, rank density. Come down here, brand analytics. I'm ready to start making some decisions. I'm ready to start looking at how the heck is my ASIN doing relative to some of these really obvious, whether they're branded keywords, still want them on my radar, whether they're ancillary or sort of adjacent keywords. Brightening serum, can my product, does it fit that category? Or are those customers in market? Is there a good amount of assumed relevancy there? I want it on my radar. I want to be tracking it, right? Vitamin C oil, similar consideration. Is somebody who's using vitamin C oil, are they looking for anti-aging benefits? Are they looking for similar or complementary benefits for my product? Do I want that tracked? Yep, you bet. So what I'll do, come in here, make sure I add my vitamin C serum, which is this ASIN right here that I'm managing again in my product manager. It's going to run that R2A on that individual ASIN to give me the data for the keywords that I rank for, those that I'm running sponsored ads for, that I'm showing for Amazon suggested data, and it lets me know as well what I can be doing next. Give that just a moment to wrap that up. And a healthy amount of keywords here we're noticing for those target ASINs, 4,000 that are ranking organically, so a really healthy amount that are being displayed here as well. AIMZ report card, not quite as much, so not as much suggested data that's showing up for some of these keywords. Sponsored keywords, about a quarter of the organically ranking keywords as a number running for sponsored ads, and then brand analytics. Cool. All right, guys, I apologize. I think it's probably gonna not let me. It's gonna be my luck. It's gonna take so much longer than it did all of today. Same steps, just streaming now. But we'll see if that finishes up. And the last two filters I didn't go over, exclude, include keywords. Ways you can think about utilizing that. So another example that I was going to pull up was something like an argan oil, which is it's kind of a unique product in terms of some of the keywords, but you could get really creative with exclusion of words like oil to sort of see what sort of longer tail opportunities there may be that aren't as on the nose. Some of these examples where we're looking at brightening serum, vitamin C serum, similar benefits in terms of what the customer may be seeking out. So we may want that keyword on our radar. We at least want to be tracking it, and then starting to see over time, how our competitors are ranking for it as a number, making some of those decisions from there. But these filters can really help to back into keywords that may be not so obvious, that may be sort of lateral, ancillary keywords that excludes some of your seemingly obvious keywords. Vitamin C serum. If we were to nix serum, we would get that vitamin C oil, where somebody maybe has been reading about vitamin C and its benefits, but doesn't even know necessarily what product can. What's the right mechanism? Now, again, I know this from selling oils and serums and moisturizers and all that good stuff. Sometimes customers don't know. They're in market. They're an in-market interested customer, but the solution may not be as specific. And that's really where you want it on your radar. You want to be monitoring that performance, and then see if it starts making sense to run a sponsored ad, to start a ranking campaign from there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and nix that for now. It's just not going to play nicely with me. But I think you guys are probably starting to see again what you can start doing with R2A, how you can utilize top visible competitors, density, brand analytics data, using that best data to prioritize some of your keywords. I think on the whole, we covered the questions that you guys have submitted, so thank you again for sending those through. Apologize again with the stream and the delay. As you get into R2A, you will most likely not be streaming and running as many things as I am, so you'll see performance being much, much better. But as I mentioned previously, you're going to be able to utilize this on any plan level. R2A is accessible for tracking keywords, for adding your products, all of the good stuff that we've touched on. You can easily do. And so would encourage you to dive in. We're going to continue to provide more content to make sure that everybody knows that there's a lot that you can do with R2A, but that process, that really simplistic process, if we had that, a handful of years ago, we would love the idea of top competitors, where are they winning, and then prioritizing on the best data. And if you use that as a launching off point, you would probably be in the top 20% of people doing keyword research. It's just such a really powerful starting place from which you can then make some informed decisions and really make sure you're doing something different. We've seen keyword research done a lot of the same ways, not a lot of uniqueness, and then people getting frustrated when they're underperforming or like they're not even sustaining in this business. And that's really what's important, is how you approach keyword research for a truly competitive advantage that you can exploit. So one question that just came in: what max size of search volume would be the best to use for launch? There's a few factors there, right? There's inventory, there's capital, and then that is required for both of those things when it comes to actually launching at the keyword level. What I would do is find where you can grow. You kind of want to view it as an escalating scale when you're launching for keywords. Win a few that have relevance, that have a ample search volume. Again, our hyaluronic acid serum misspelling was really suitable for this. It registered in brand analytics. There was no clear winner. There was a healthy amount of search volume. And if we have the capital and the inventory, that's one that we can kind of get in there right in the middle and start launching for. Add that to our mini chat campaigns, rotate some URLs around it, and use some of our other strategies for that as well. So again, thanks so much, guys, for your questions. Hopefully this was helpful for you. I'm excited for you to dive in. You can access it now in your Seller.tools account here under R2A. Take full advantage. If you have any questions, bring it over to FBA Kings, our Facebook community. Totally glad to answer those. But with the new data that's accessible to you, this really intuitive workflow, I think we've already seen a really great response. So if you haven't dove in, would encourage you to do so. But hopefully this was helpful for you guys. More to come, and hoping you're having a really great day.